Almost. Yeah. Hello,
Almost.
everybody. Good to see you. I'm very happy that I'm back in the new year. I will wish you a very happy new year, actually. And for those that weren't there for the New Year's, and if you missed the party from New Year's, go check it out. And I hope you are all feeling well. I know there's also Trump rally, but yeah, today we are with Dustin Penner, and Dustin Penner is my friend. And well, hello, Dustin.
Hi, Patricia. Thanks for having me. Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah,
So, you wanna like introduce yourself a bit?
yeah, I could do that. I'm almost 40 years old. I'm from a small town in Canada. I grew up in a very religious town, and when you grow up where I grew up, you start playing hockey at a very early age. So by 4 years old, I was skating, and that's the only thing I really knew how to do until the Great Awakening, which happened after my NHL career. So in between those 2 points, I went to high school, my high school years in Canada, and then left home at 17 because I'm a late birthday. Went to two different colleges in the United States, and then played in the NHL for about 10, 11 years. And towards the end of it is when I was able to start doing my research. But I'd say the spark that ignited my awakening was 9/11.
Right. Okay. So you just killed all my questions that I
See, I'm a good interview.
had. Yeah, and we're done.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I don't know anything about hockey, as you know. I bet that people that do know you and you know how
The thing is,
well,
I don't know who all knows me. There's a lot of people who know me that I don't know.
yeah, true. So well, you were like a really good hockey player. That's
Not
all I
bad,
know.
not bad. There might be some trolls on here that are here to swear at me under their breath, but
Right. And so what year was it that you ended like your
uh,
hockey
would have
career?
been would have been 2014. I broke my neck that year.
Oh yeah. Oh, because then you had to quit earlier than planned.
But I hadn't planned on breaking my neck.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, nobody does that.
yeah.
So, and so, I mean, that must like suck because then you are all of a sudden. I mean, it's all done, everything that you worked for. So, how was that? Like at the beginning, because I guess it's not like you immediately dug into the Great Awakening right after that.
No. The first thing was that I realized there was different levels of breaking your neck. You know, when you hear break your neck, you immediately think, well, he's dead. But you can just, at least for me, when it comes to hockey and impact sports, so you think usually paralyzed or whatever, but I just cracked two vertebrae in my neck that caused a lot of numbness and pain, and it was gonna be an 18-month surgery, or not, well, recovery. When we say surgery, 18-month recovery after surgery, and then for that, at my point in my career, which was towards the end, I just asked my accountant, "Do I have enough to make it till the end?" He goes, "Yeah, you'll be fine." So I said, "All right, I'm punching my ticket. I'm out."
So, did you need surgery?
Well, you have a choice: let it heal naturally, which naturally, like it just like there's a big lump in the back,
Mm-hmm.
or you can get it fused. And I don't know if you know anything about fusing vertebrae or bones, but you can lose a lot of mobility, sometimes 50% mobility.
Oh,
So
whoa.
that it would be kind of like this, as opposed to being able to do this with, I could feel pain,
Mm-hmm.
but also given how great doctors and nurses are that we've seen lately in the last year, start right. My mom's a nurse, and I have nothing against it, but I'm glad I didn't get the surgery, just
Yeah.
because when I don't want them to have an oops moment while they have my neck butterfly filleted open, trying to put two vertebrae back together with screws.
Wow.
So
So your mom did your mom advise you also because well
she, well, it's different, I guess, because she's a nurse. But you try and get advice from former players or players that are currently playing on stories they've heard, or anybody that's had bones fused, especially the neck. That's who I talk to, and they say it's, some people have great experiences, some you regret doing it.
Yeah. Wow. Well, you're the second one that broke his neck in my show. I mean, that I interviewed, so that's interesting.
Yeah,
But I mean, that's not nothing, obviously. And also, oh, wait, let me just. I forgot about that. Let me just say hi to a few people here. Hello, Elara. Good to see you. And Christina, good to see you too. Cat Spotter, Brandy, Law Girl, and Tranquility there, and Cat Spotter, and Sudabok, and Tyler. Good to see you too. And so then I mean, you have this pain for a while, and then did you need a long time for the recovery to?
it's interesting because, you know, to put it bluntly, it reminds you of a song called, the hip bone's connected to the knee bone, right? So the ligaments and tendons and muscles that attach to your L6 and L7
Mm-hmm.
go through your left arm and right leg. So when I'm not trying to use those for, like, I would be able to play hockey. That's where I would notice it. And if I continue to play hockey with the injury, it could get worse, right?
Right.
Like any like I wouldn't go try and engage in jujitsu right now or do anything that would affect it, because it's not 100%. So as
Right.
long as it's like, just don't touch it.
Well, yeah, but okay. So, yeah. Well, in any case, you couldn't play anymore. So now
Yeah,
you're at home all of a sudden, and I bet there was like, yeah, all of a
it's
sudden.
it's it's interesting to do something that you have loved and passionately so since 3 4 years old for 30 years, and then all of a sudden stop.
Exactly that.
Yeah.
And so, how did you cope with that?
Well, I started traveling
Oh,
because,
that.
like, even though you travel, like, inside North America, and sometimes we play season openers in Sweden or Germany or wherever, um, you don't stay in a city very long. And if
Mm.
you are staying in a city when you're playing in the NHL, it's usually to party and pick up girls. So, excuse me. So, yeah, I traveled for probably about 2 years with some friends that were DJs. And I went to places like Italy, Greece, Spain, the UK, um, South America, and Hawaii, New Zealand, Australia, Fiji. But the best place I went to was probably Easter Island.
Oh, right. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
it was
And
nice. I went there for 2 weeks by myself and didn't speak either language on the island. So
what do they speak?
French Polynesian and Spanish.
Wow. Well, it's a small country, but and well, how long did you stay there?
Almost 2 weeks.
Wow. And so why was that the best place that you've been?
Well, A, no one knew who I was. B, no one could talk to me because I only spoke English. And C, I had no cell reception.
Oh,
And then,
wow.
right.
So you were there like with yourself.
Yeah, like, I would say the island itself is the number one reason to go. It's about, let's say, 60 kilometers around, maybe less. It doesn't take that long to drive around the island.
No.
And obviously, they have the Moai statue and statues. And so, yeah, you could just, there's no place like it on earth. In Spanish, I don't know how to say it, but it's known as the bosom of the earth.
Wow. So did you like found like there like a moment, because obviously then you're with yourself, and that's when, like, thoughts come up and all that stuff, and then you find yourself in that spot where you realize, or you start processing at least what has happened, because all the other cities you go to, they obviously provide a lot of distractions, while over there you
Well,
have
what was
not.
it? Yeah, what was interesting is, when you tell people you went to a place like that. And I'm kind of a nerd, so on my stopwatch on my phone, I hit start as soon as I walked out my front door here in Newport Beach, and time myself until I walked in the front door of my hut that I was staying in. And then when I say hut, it was nice. Like, there was only probably 2 TVs on the island that I saw. It's not like they had TVs in the rooms, but they had a bed. But that took 28 hours door to door. So
Wow.
when you tell people like you flew 28 hours away from home by yourself to a place where you didn't speak the language, they get scared. But to me, I'm like, this is great. And
Yeah.
you know, there's a like, I remember getting my little RAV4 that I rented at 4 a.m. because I wanted to catch the sunset with the statues one morning. And you can drive, and they have like, this is like a 1990 RAV4, so the headlights are really dim, so turning them on almost makes it worse. Like, somehow it makes it darker. So I have flashlights. I'm driving with my knees up and down these roads, and you can actually, it's so there's so little light pollution there that you can actually see different levels of darkness in the clouds. And then and then as you're driving forward, you look to the side, and you're, nah, it's probably not a good idea, because if there was ever a time I was going to see something that I couldn't explain, it would be on this island. So let's just keep looking forward and get to where we're going, because you feel like you're on another planet.
Wow. So were you by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow. So did you get to like kind of process whatever, has happened over that year, or
It was the first time that if you've ever driven a long distance, like the longest I've ever driven before stopping is 16 hours, just 16 hours, right? And you finally stop and get out, stretch your legs, and, relax. That's what it felt like when I got there. Like, it was so quiet that in my room at night, you go like, oh, someone started their car, because it'd be the only car that was on the island.
how
Right?
many
So
people live there?
only, I think 5,000.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the size of the town I grew up in, so it's not big.
No. Yeah, me too,
Yeah,
actually, in a
yeah,
town actually less than 5,000. So,
yeah,
but okay, so then and then that was like the last place you went after your travels, and then you came back home.
yeah. But the other thing I'll say about there that's kind of interesting was that I was introduced to the mayor. I'm not sure if I told you this, but the mayor of the island.
No.
Yeah, and what was interesting, because I couldn't put my finger on why the people on that island were so unique,
Mm.
and it was their July 4th celebration. It happened to be in January, but you get the idea. And she's sitting to my right, and whoever else is there, and she's shaking hands, kissing babies as people are, paying their respects. And in between handshakes, she just looks to me and goes, "How's Trump?" And this is 2017. And I just kind of smirked and said, "Why?" And she goes, "Here on the island, we don't care about anything but the island. We have 3 active volcanoes. If any one of them goes off, there's nothing big enough, fast enough to save any of us. Cheers." And I just said, "I get it."
Yeah.
So
Wow.
that's,
In a way that is like, I mean, because obviously you've been like playing hockey like for so many years, and then you got into these leagues and win prizes, Stanley Cups, and you're around celebrities, you're in the media and all that stuff, and then all of a sudden, boom, there you are on Easter Island, uh, you know, a bit earlier than expected because of what happened, and that is the first time in all these years that you actually get to be with yourself, kind of.
get it right. And you get to be who you were before you became who you were. Like, before the day after I signed my NHL contract, like a snapping of your fingers, it changed my outward perception, for how people viewed me, and then how I viewed them, because people tend to look at you differently when they find out you're a professional athlete. So up until that day where I signed, if that was phase 1, phase 2 was my celebrity career. And then when I got to the island of Rapa Nui, Easter Island, it felt like I was back, in the same mindset as being 17, where I was just like everybody else.
Wow. And how, for you, how did that? I mean, because obviously hockey is your passion, right? At the time when you did it, and you do it because of the hockey, but then all the stuff that comes around it. Obviously, I know a bit about that. I'm not a top sporter, but I know that environment, the all the stuff that comes with it, being in the public eye, having all these people around you, then you're making the money, and so all of a sudden, you collect other people around you that maybe you're not even expected,
Yeah.
uh because you're never ready for that stuff.
Yeah, I think as there's pros and cons with everything, and I think the extremes vary, and the quantitative effect of let's say a scale of 1 to 10. Had I never played in the NHL, a 1 would be here, a 10 would be here, and living in that normal life where I'm from, a 10 would be maybe winning a weekend golf tournament, and getting married, having a family. Now, where when I make the NHL, a 10 is winning a Stanley Cup for the LA Kings and partying with David Beckham and whoever. Like you see these people that you grew up watching, but then anesthetically the lows are equally and oppositely is bad. That's what people don't understand. Like a 1 in a small town, like, oh, I lost the bowling match, but a 1 in celebrity lifestyle is landing after a flight and going, man, I'm getting a lot of texts at 3 a.m. Sorry you got divorced. I'm divorced. Let me check.
Wow.
And,
Yeah.
that's the interesting part is like people find out that you're getting divorced before you do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I do have friends that had the same lifestyle, and it can be pretty lonely because you get to know people that you actually don't know, because it's everything is kind of fake, right?
Yeah.
I guess in the beginning it's kind of exciting, but at a certain point, I mean, you cannot even walk the streets, right?
It depends where you are. Like
Oh
what
yeah.
was interesting, it depends on who you are. Excuse me. So in Canada, it's like being a NBA player for the Lakers. And I played in Canada for the Edmonton Oilers. And I actually had my California friends come up for a week. And after seeing what it's like being a Canadian hockey player in the NHL for a Canadian city, they just called me Kobe for the rest of my life, as in Kobe Bryant. Because that's how like the fame aspect. Like, so if I was at a bar in Canada when I was playing for the Edmonton Oilers and we would go out after a game, I'd have guys petting my hair.
No
Right?
way. Oh,
Right.
God.
Just to get a reaction, like pet his hair. I bet we can get him to hit you and then we'll like get in the paper or sue you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's constantly people doing that, or like, I remember one time after we had some bad teams on the teams I played with, and hanging there with me, this is a good story. So we were the last place team in the league that year. And so there's 30 teams. We're the 30th worst team, or 20, whatever it was. And we had just lost 10-2 in our home rink. And our own fans were cheering for the other team, going, we want 10. When it was 9-2, they were cheering for the other team to score the 10th goal to beat us. So after the game, I go home, get out of my suit, kind of get incognito, and go to the grocery store to get some comfort food. And as I'm scanning the grocery, the little girl scanning the groceries, she might have been 14 years old. And she's scanning, looking up, scanning, looking up, scanning, looking up. And I go, oh no. She goes, you're Dustin Penner, aren't you? I go, yeah. She goes, I might be the only fan in my family that likes you. Or the only person in my family that likes you.
Oh,
Right.
wow.
It's just, those are like, it's that to me, I couldn't wait to tell people that, because like, thanks for the compliment.
Well, I know this from like in Holland as well, with the soccer, obviously we have in Europe. And then when somebody, makes a mistake or whatever, they are like treated like they just created World War III. I mean, and the way that they don't even see you anymore as a human being, but rather somebody that has ruined their favorite game.
It's the benefit of, I think, that maybe a lot of people miss that get to participate at that level is you can pick up on energy really easily.
Yeah.
because you see people stripped down to some very bare essentials. Like, you see people, like you see gentlemen in the stands that are 10, 20, 30 years older than you, wearing your jersey on their back, drunk, giving you the finger, telling you to go fuck yourself. And it makes you pause to think, like, could that have been me had I not made it to the NHL? Right. Then you see how I remember signing autographs after a game, and then also there was there was cleavage in front of my eyes, right? Because you're just signing, and this girl, like maybe 18, and she goes, "Can you sign?" I'm like, I look around, her mom's like, "Yeah, go ahead." And so I just signed right here,
Right.
and then the girl said, "Did you want to have sex with me?" And my eyes just like I couldn't even blink. And then her mother goes, "Yeah, it'd be okay." I'm like, "Oh, thank you though," and kept going. So those kind of experiences
So real.
that shape you in a way that, had I not played in the NHL, I don't know if I'd be the same person. Oh, I wouldn't be.
Yeah. Well, the same time, like when like you won obviously Stanley Cup, and then there's people that, like, they put you on this pedestal, but at the same time you're still a person, and they don't realize that everything that you encounter is so, surreal. And how do you cope with that? And I mean, obviously we know, because it's a lonely life, and people have no idea because they don't see Dustin the person. They see this hockey star, right? And so when you I bet that when you got out of it, that's the last thing that you missed. But at the same time, all of a sudden, because it's been quite a long time that you've done this, you need to all of a sudden like completely adjust back to normal. So this is what actually kind of happened on Easter Island, but then you come home, it's not like finished right
Right.
then,
That's the
right?
thing. When you say adjust to normal, you have to put normal in quotations, because the one thing that you realize by being outside the game now and retired is that, well, at least you had a group of guys that were going through the same thing, and you
Yeah.
had that camaraderie. And now, so you know who you now you're kind of like I've never been a gypsy, but I bet it's something similar to like the life you lead after you finish becoming a professional athlete. Because, like, I don't have a family, I don't have kids, so there's nothing that I've taken with me from that past life. It just
Right.
kind of This is just act three of a movie.
So do you, I mean, obviously then, because then you were at home, and that's when you had your great awakening. And so you did start researching and all that, because, what are you going to do? But it's
Right. Well,
gone.
yeah. Obviously, I couldn't do as much researching when I was in the NHL, because
No.
all your time is spoken for. Like, you're told when to eat, when to sleep, when to wind your watch, when to shit. Like, so after everything kind of settled down around 2000, I'd say 13, 14, towards the end of my career, I would spend a lot more time on, YouTube and Apple TV and buying documentaries. So, getting to know people like Graham Hancock through his work,
Right.
watching some Stephen Greer documentaries, the first one on 9/11, which was Loose Change. Then you get to the moon landings, Tuskegee experiments. It just never seems to end.
Yes.
But you can get to almost. I am to a point now where it's like, when's YouTube coming up with a new season of conspiracies? Because I've seen them all. Yeah.
But because you said that you like kind of woke up already with 9/11, so all the time that you were actually in like playing as a professional, you were already awake.
Well, yeah, the Bunsen light, or the burner light, was turned on because I was in college. It was my second year. I was in Bottineau, North Dakota, in a junior college playing hockey, and I slept in till like 11, which would have been 1 p.m. in New York on the day of the attacks. And
Right.
you could feel that the energy was different, and if you can even tell if you look at the electromagnetic frequency where they measure that kind of stuff.
Yes.
Dr. Judy Wood has a good explanation of that.
Yeah, I've seen it actually.
Yeah, and she'll put you to sleep though if you're not careful. Yeah. So yeah, and I just remember going through that day, and then when the third tower fell 9 hours later, I went, "That's weird." Two planes, right, guys? Two planes and three towers fell, like
Yeah.
demolition style, and then that light turned on. From that point on, it's always like, no, no, 5 years ago. Like, I don't care that there's Flight 93 United movies coming out. Like, the most heavily guarded building, the Pentagon, which is the most filmed. Like, we got one little like toll booth box, like click, boom, like, and then you hear
Yeah.
a gas station attendant that their video was confiscated. It's just, I don't know what it's like. I kind of wish I could go into that life where everything is just a coincidence. Like, oh, isn't that weird? Huh? Like, people go
So,
through life
so
like that.
did you have like people around you at the time that you could talk about that, or weren't you like at all busy with it in the sense that you knew, but you were so busy anyway? Did
Right.
or was it also kind of like, oh, I'm in this environment, you cannot just come up with,
It was moving too fast. You gotta think of it at different elevations. Like, most people live just at like sea level, but when you're a professional athlete, everything is 40,000 miles an hour. You go, what time is the bus? Bus gets to the airport in 30 minutes. Then I'll get the plane. We land in 3.5 hours straight to bed. Wake up 6 hours later. Then run on the ice, and that's what you do for 12 years, 10 years.
holy crap, that's a lot.
Yeah, like, so it's nonstop. So it's tough to like. And back then, like, you got to remember, like, when for my age, I was part of the generation where when you could finally see a picture of a naked girl on your computer, it would go like this. You click on the link, go chunk head, chunk chin, chunk. Like, that's how it would take to load. So, I kind of grew up. YouTube was coming out as I was getting to a certain age where, you know, I was a Y2K graduate in high school, so it kind of feels like there was no outlet when I found out in 2001 about 9/11, right? Like, where do you go? Like, to AOL
Yeah.
or MSN Messenger? There was no place to like find people to talk to about it. So it's
Sure.
just one of those weird things where it's like, that was really, illogical what happened there. I can't make sense of it.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
not
The
one of
only
those.
thing you had at the time were like forums. That's where I
Right.
already was at the time as well, forums. But yeah, same. It's
Yeah. I don't know
I,
when YouTube came out, but I don't think it was around 2001.
no, no,
Yeah, it might have been, but it might not have been. I don't think
no.
they. I don't think it had guys like Bill Lear, who thinks no planes hit the towers at all.
Yeah. Yeah, but indeed, because that woke up a lot of people actually, and so let me thank Christina Love. Thank you for your donation. That's so sweet, and actually our super chat actually, and but then when once you got out of that, you started doing all your research, and did you start talking openly about it? Because in the meantime you still have did you still have people around you from that environment, from the celebrities and all that?
Yeah, well, typically what happens, like, especially if you're, I was a better known hockey player. There's lesser known. There's really well known. Excuse me, but I had done a segment on Conan O'Brien. I had been on Jimmy Kimmel with our team. I had done done a bit of, like, I was on Entourage with a couple buddies and things like that. So usually you stay on with the team in some form, like scout, commentator, analyzer, whatever. But I think if I would have had those dreams, those would have been squashed by how I proceeded to interact on social media, because there was nothing you could take away from me anymore. I checked
Right.
I checked with my CPA. I had enough money to live. I would die before I ran out of money. Check. Now I get to say whatever I want. And you
but
get.
but after the hockey you did other stuff for TV then, just
No, I didn't do stuff for TV.
oh,
I
okay.
was I was saying that's what usually happens. You go down that road because usually
Oh,
you see professional athletes that just can't have to hold on. Like,
yeah,
this is what I'm known as. Like, if I'm not in,
yeah,
I don't care. That's not who I am. Hockey is what I did. It's not who I am, and that's, I
yeah,
guess, a bit unique. So what I like doing is talking about what I think is true.
Exactly.
And I realized that, like, I always wondered, why did people not do that? I go, oh, because, you know, there's embarrassment, and or I'll lose my job, or what if people think I'm stupid? And then but I go, I don't have to work the rest of my life. I can't be that stupid.
So when did you start going public, like talking about it?
Well, with my friends, probably 2014, 2015. Like, if you came over to my house, it might be like 36 hours until you escape, because I would just go from one documentary to YouTube video to, like, I have books upon books, and I get really excited when people say, like, hey, you want to show me a conspiracy documentary? Do I?
So you did have friends that actually also were interested.
I think I scared most of them off by now, but it's very tough, like, because they have a different life, right? They have to go to bed. Like, most people have to tell themselves, all right, if I go to bed now, I get 5 hours of sleep, then I can get up, make it to work by 8 or 9, 10 hours, I'm back at home. Then I have to do this with the kids, or this with the girlfriend, this, right?
Yeah.
I don't know when I'm going to fit in Penner's 36-hour conspiracy day. So.
Well, yeah, that's a bit my life too, because you know, I have the same, but and many amongst us actually. But then, you know, because eventually a queue came around, you know, and were you actually also there in the beginning already?
I think I was very close. I'm a fan of Roseanne.
Okay.
I remember her tweeting, "Who is Q?"
Right.
I don't know when that was, but I was like, "Who is Q, Roseanne?" So that's when it started, and when I got, because I built a following on social media, like Twitter. I had 110,000 followers. Now I'm down to 8. Now I'm down to 80, just because of what I've been saying. And but aesthetically, on Instagram, I only had, like, I think at the end of my career, I had 15,000, and then I moved down to 11,000.
Whoa.
And there's a joke I always use on, like, unfortunately, because I'm a guy, I use it against girls, but I see a lot of girls with 5 million followers on Instagram, but only like 15,000 on Twitter. So I go, what does that tell you? We want to look at you twice as much as we want to hear you talk.
Exactly.
So, right. So, you know, anyways, but when I decided to just, you know, show the emperor had no clothes, take it all off, and just go, like, you know, there's this guy named Q. We haven't gone to the moon. You know, there's no trees on Earth, whatever.
Exactly. Yeah, coming out of the Great Awakening closet.
Right. That was the moment. It was actually March 17th, ironically, and it was right around when I saw the video that Trump posted about the virus. It was the white background with the letters disappearing, and as the letters disappeared, I'm like, I slowed it down. I'm like, there's no way that's an accident. It's like Q plus.
Not. Yeah.
So I went full Q-tard that day, and I actually gained up to like 28,000 followers. And then Instagram just deleted my channel after I put out Michelle Obama is packing heat for the like 10th time.
Yes. But so you lost then a lot of followers, but those were obviously your hockey fans that
I don't know.
Well, that probably were not awake, and then all of a sudden thought, "Oh, this Dustin Penner went completely bonkers." And right. So, you
know what's interesting? I get some really unique messages that I never got anything of the sort playing, but frequently, and more that for me frequently in this aspect, it was more than like a couple of times. People will say, "You know what, Penner, when you went off the rails 6 months ago, I thought you lost your mind. But now I realize that I was, and you weren't." You know, like people like they went through their own awakening, and being a part of, you know, even one person's awakening is worth it to me, because I'm not saying I'm 100% right, but I know that's not true.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? You know that, so if we can all figure it out together, maybe, instead of you trusting Don Lemon.
Yes, but also, I mean, so there is like other celebrities and all that texted you about it, but I mean,
No, no one. The text I get from other celebrities, like I was friends with Colin Hanks and like other celebrities, but I haven't heard anything. They didn't unfollow me and I would go right after like Tom Hanks, and I met him. So the people that I still talk to that are in that at that level of society are just professional athletes, mostly
right,
hockey, but mostly hockey players, and they'll either text me or get a hold of me on a burner account on social media saying, "Hey, I agree with you, but I can't do it. I can't say it publicly." I'm like, "Thanks, I appreciate
right.
it."
So, do you think there are more people that actually are,
Yeah, yes, yes.
you do, but they
I,
just
I yeah, like there's just like I can't say too much, but this account has I think 100,000 followers. It's like a women's like accessories, handbags, like shoes, and I only found that out after the fact. I got like a DM because I try to go through all my DMs. It's become more exhausting as I've become a larger, you know, cog in the wheel.
right.
But but I still try to go through most of them. And then there was this account with like 85 followers, and she just written a nice like uh, unprovoked message saying, "Hey, really appreciate what you're doing in the movement. You don't know about how much it helps or the effect that it has on people and how far it reaches. My main account is this," and she put the link. And there's a lot of us out there like that can't follow you, can't comment or like your content, but just know that we're out there. And I thought
Wow.
that was interesting. And this was an account that a real account had over 100,000 people.
Wow, that's amazing though. And
Yeah,
I can understand because even like non-celebrities, people that have a job, they cannot even,
yeah,
talk about that because obviously of their jobs, but which in a sense is actually ridiculous if you think about it, but that's what it is. And also those that, for example, love Donald Trump, but you cannot come out of the Trump closet because, oh God,
yeah,
you know, and but clearly I do like that there are quite some like celebrities that they also ended their career and they came out and they are actively participating, which I really like. But at the same time, I do understand, but I was just wondering, like, are there that many? Or because now that you learned also about Hollywood and all these people that have participated in all those crimes, you know um you don't know who did what.
right, right. And that's what's interesting is because I made a conscious choice to stop worrying about because I partied my fair share. There's not a nightclub or a strip club I haven't been to in this hemisphere.
Yeah,
So when I was in South Beach at Fountain Blue in Miami, partying with Michael Bay and Jerry Bruckheimer, right? Was Epstein around? I wouldn't have known,
yeah,
but I never, I just knew because, and I have to probably thank my parents for my upbringing and the religious background I had. I just knew yeah, it's getting a little rapey around here, and then time to
wow,
go. Like at 3, 4 a.m.
yeah,
And I say that tongue in cheek, not to make light of rape, but like girls for sure know a time where like it's probably time for me to go because it looks like
yeah.
the last train out of the station.
Yeah, and then some are actually, well, it depends because, as a sporter, maybe it's different, but when you're like an actress or, I don't know, model or whatever, you get sucked in there because, they obviously want you, to be part of that in order
Yeah,
to,
and
well, that's,
right, I never like you just don't know because you're young, and that's the probably part of how they prey on you, right? Like, so
yes,
I don't know what's going on after I leave here, but probably nothing weird, but because you don't know, and sometimes you get out of it, and like had I known what I know now when I met President Obama, because when you win the Stanley Cup, you go to the White House
right,
and you get to meet and shake hands with the president, and thankfully or unfortunately, I didn't know what I know now because like it would have been very tough not to say is bigger than yours, Mr. President.
Exactly.
You know,
You would probably have punched him in the face too.
right? Yeah, I'd probably be dead.
Yeah, indeed, like
Yeah,
the Clinton body count.
yeah,
But yeah, but I do you think that like sporters in any case have um you know uh are less vulnerable to be sucked in, because after all you do have your talent, and that doesn't come falling out of the sky, unlike with actors and all that stuff, right? So
yeah. I
do
think go ahead.
do they keep like sporters away, sort of,
Well, I
from?
think that there's gatekeepers in every aspect of society, right? Television, film, politics, right? They, you are identified, if you're a pure of heart, you're identified by someone negative before you ever realize you've been identified by them.
Yeah.
And it's much harder to co-opt hockey players because 60 to 75% of them are white Canadian farm boys who grew up in a small town, right?
Don't take any shit.
Right, like you know, if you got hurt, your dad say, "Are you hurt or injured? Get the fuck up." You know,
Yes.
like there's no like my jeans aren't tight enough. You know, like
I even
like
grew up like that, and I'm not a hockey
yeah,
player, but then our countries are quite like kind of the same, because we have also
yeah,
the ice skating and all
right.
that.
And I say that only not like how I mean that is that it's a very rough and tumble, like
Down to earth. Yeah.
right, like it's traditional nuclear family. Like no one looked down upon my mom who worked as a nurse, evenings, weekends, and nights, depending on her 2 week shift, but who was also cooking and cleaning. But then you
Right.
get into the other sports, and it's different because as you've seen statistically that in the early 50s, 60s, the divorce rate in the Black community was 30%. What like single moms. There was only 30% single moms in the 50s, and now there's 70% single mothers.
Yeah.
So you take the kid out of the home, and they don't have a strong male role model. It's
Yeah.
easier to go off them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And
and then now you just extrapolate that over the sports, and you can see like where the most susceptibility would be, like players in the NBA, like LeBron tweeting that he's going to the Fijian Islands,
yeah.
or he
Yeah.
actually said, he said, me and my family are going to Wakanda. And if you
Exactly.
watched, if you know what that means.
Well, same with the soccer players, and well, certain sports, obviously, not all of them, but certain ones are like, they definitely are involved in that stuff. But obviously, I can imagine that hockey players, that's, yeah, a whole different. I don't think that people get away with that anyway, because, even if you would find yourself in a situation like that where they invite you in the club, that you are
Yeah.
like, what the hell is going on here, right?
Right.
And probably it's also the type of sports that, like with the UFC, where these people don't take shit either. They just
Right.
come clean about, oh, I'm
Right. It's
probably.
respect is a very large part of the UFC and with the NHL. Like half of my teeth have been knocked out and are fake. So
Yeah.
there's an old quote by Mike Tyson that everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yes.
Right. And with my sport, you get to find out what the other person's plan was pretty quickly because you can punch them in the mouth.
Exactly. I mean, they're not going to mess with that, right? But in a way, it's kind of interesting because, well, obviously, it's not a world sport, right?
But
Hockey, ice hockey. Well,
Olympics makes it a world sport.
well, yeah, obviously, but I mean, it's not like for example, soccer
No,
or
soccer is the biggest sport in the world.
yeah, or what else do you have? Baseball? Nah, well,
I would say like tennis, Formula One,
yeah.
uh, boxing. Like Mike Tyson there's probably no one who had the red carpet rolled out more for than Mike Tyson in his heyday.
Wow.
Yeah, if you watch any documentaries on him from, different countries, the way he was treated, he was essentially like a god on earth.
Yeah, I remember
For,
that
for,
actually. I do, and I didn't even like boxing. So,
yeah,
uh, I mean, even those people that don't know about it, they know
yeah.
Mike Tyson,
And
and
then you can go with golf as well. You can throw golf because Tiger Woods, right? Who doesn't know
yeah.
who he is?
Well, I only knew Tiger Woods because of the scandal.
Right,
Otherwise, I wouldn't have never known who he was. I didn't even know it was like such a big deal. The whole golf. I was
yeah,
like, that's a hobby sport, right?
right.
It,
And
it's like,
it's not an original scandal either. Like that one's been done before.
yeah, like many times too.
Yeah,
I thought it was like cricket, but yeah, cricket is a big deal in India,
yeah.
and those countries. But yeah, it's not like an international sport that's like very known. But yeah, in any case, then so you got in this movement, and now you obviously make all new friends, and but at the same time, because I can imagine that people still look at you like, oh, that's a hockey player,
It's
and
yeah.
so
That's a benefit. It's a benefit, like a positive and a negative, because it gets you in the door maybe a bit sooner, but then still, it like there is a bit of like, well, you're not a real truther because you're a hockey player. There's some of that, right? Yeah, you can tell. It's not a big deal. You can just spot it because you know the difference between people who care about whether or not you're a hockey player and who don't, which is something you can pick up on.
yeah. Well, I didn't know who you were. I mean, I thought you were a comedian or whatever, and
Well, that's what I wrote in my bio. So
yeah, that's why I thought it. But yeah, I can imagine that because at the end of the day, in this movement, there are so many types of people, like literally all sorts of people. I love, for example, Jenna Jameson, who is so witty with the things, because obviously she gets attacked a lot because of what she did, but she always has a retort. I love that. But the fact that you have to defend yourself for having a former career, but if you were an electrician,
well,
nobody,
right.
you
No, but
know
that go ahead.
well, then nobody would have a problem with it, and
Right.
it's not
So
fair.
sometimes there's a benefit to not dignifying things like that with a response, right?
Yeah.
That's what you learn too. Is like that's too low vibrational for me. I'm not going to bother. Like, go ahead and think you've won.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why I like Jenna James, because she always has a retort. I love it. And by the way, thank you, Sudabok, for your donate or your super chat. Thank you, Keystone, for this great interview. You're looking beautiful in the new year. Well, thank God, nothing changed in 2021 in that regard, except for the year. And so at the like within the Great Awakening, right, we don't have only all the conspiracies and all that we discover, but also spirituality. And so how is that for you? What I mean, are you in a way doing stuff with that?
I mean, yeah, I've had time to not only look into every conspiracy, but I probably helped expedite Jeff Bezos's rise to the richest man in the world because I'm buying books nonstop. I buy, unfortunately, a lot of things off Amazon because I have a bunch of different crystals, acutonic forks, salt water or salt crystal lamps. What else? I got 5 quartz crystal singing bowls in the main area there. A bunch of different incense. Let's
So
see that.
how
There's
did
a
you
painting.
start?
There's a Can you see that painting in the corner? That's from a shaman. That's from a shaman in the Peruvian jungle. Like you get,
Oh,
and
you
then
went there?
my friend did. I went to Easter Island, but he had that side. Like just the interesting things that you get to experience when you look at different. Like had I not been open to learning about Easter Island and Teotihuacan, Pumapunku, the Nazca lines, so you start looking at the history like that. Then you realize history is written by the winners. In general, are people liars? Yes. So the winners were probably lying about history. Then I grew up in a really religious community. And then you go like, man, the Catholics sure are raping a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
And then you go like, I don't know if that's the right God. Then something made a change. Oh, they designed their new, chapel like a serpent. That makes sense. So then
Right.
you try and figure out when the split happened. When did they get away from, the prime creator, the true all-encompassing God, and turn to Lucifer, Moloch, and Baal. And then you get into like different Zedic astrology, regular astrology, numerology, because as a Christian Mennonite, which is a derivative of Amish, and my grandpa being off the last boat or last train out of Russia during World War II, that's what at the time. So you start trying to figure out what else is, or why is our religion believe what they believe, and how come things like astrology is looked poorly upon, or like that's the devil's language. But based on my, like, I'm a Scorpio rising, which is, there's three main signs when you actually get into it. It's not like the little side column, like I'm a Libra. There's three signs: Libra, Aquarius, and a Scorpio rising. And rising is who the world sees you as, essentially.
Yeah.
And wouldn't you know it, 90% of the women, and even the one I married, was a Scorpio. So to me, I go, that's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. So then that makes you get in more into spirituality. And then, I ended up meeting my twin flame and learning how to astral travel and astral project, and, things like that. It's quite fascinating. There's a lot, like,
how was that experience? Because you start somewhere, and then slowly you start to develop that more, and then so what was I mean, because obviously it's also your own personal journey, right? Because we all go through that, and then we all go through our dark night of the soul, and all that crap multiple times, by the way. And then you start to find the hang, you get the hang of it, and you find your own thing. So did you start also like meditating and doing things to develop yourself, like spiritually?
yeah, you start getting into that. That's, with the quartz crystal singing bowls. I did ayahuasca. I had a ceremony here at the house with 3 shamans. And you start, obviously, like, I've done mushrooms, surprise. And yeah, exactly.
Hang on,
And
I'm gonna blow my nose meantime,
okay,
and
all right. You want me to keep talking? Okay. So, when you do that, those kind of things, they can be very scary, and you're taught to believe that, if you go hiking in the woods, don't eat those mushrooms. And you're like, why are you telling me not to? Because now I want to. And then as you get older, you're like, I can eat those mushrooms now and see what they do. And then you go on that roller coaster, and eventually, you get off it, and you're like, wow, that was a really interesting experience. And it opened up to a different type of thinking. And, and when you can continue to explore things that you don't understand, and you realize that you never will understand anything 100%, your life can be one constant journey. So, I'm able to spread myself, and I try not to spread it too thin. But, today will be more of a, spiritual astrology day. I'm going to watch, Norb's World on, the different, Atlanteans, Lemurians. And the next day will be more history with Graham Hancock. And then, maybe I'll watch Real Housewives. I don't know.
yes.
Huh.
Well, we do also follow a lot of the same, like Laurie Ladd and stuff like that, because I find it really interesting, obviously, with all
Yeah.
the human resonance and stuff like that. So I see more people, obviously, within this movement. They are either a Christian, or it's more like the spiritual side, and I
Yeah.
find it interesting because it can all uh,
Well, I feel like it, like, if we're all walking as a group of people, right? Like the Christian spirituality. Like, I would at one point where you realize we could all be wrong, right?
yes,
There's that possibility. Okay, as long as
yes,
we're all agreeing that we all could be wrong, because we don't fucking know.
exactly.
It's just what you believe.
Well, but the interesting thing about also this whole movement is that it can all coexist together,
Right.
Well, what, a few years ago, I mean, between Christians and spirituality and all that wouldn't, like,
Right. I think there is a marriage between them, because I grew up Christian, and Q brought me back to Christianity, and then I combined it with my spirituality, because why if God created the heavens and the earth and the stars, why wouldn't there be some more meaning than just a flashing light? Like
Exactly.
what I think the stars are souls or spirits that move that come into souls when when one person dies, it comes down from a star, because it does say that there's many human beings as stars or sand. I forget the exact quote. Someone look it up. Yeah, you know the thing. I sound like Joe Biden right now.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting because there's so much to discover. And I have to say, also for me, because I was like quite anti-religious, but then you came along and you get so many people, and then all of a sudden, and it's funny because in Holland, that like religion, you didn't see that anymore. And now all of a sudden, due to the Q movement, everybody starts again reawakening to that. And whether they go full on blow religion Christian or whatever,
Yeah.
or they go like spiritual, but everybody in their own way are, because it is a spiritual war as well. And it's interesting that these two things, like the truth and all these things, including spirituality and religions, they all go together. And
Right.
I find it very interesting to see,
And one of my best friends, he's a 6-year-old man roughly he's Irish, and he always goes to retreat in India to see Sai Baba. You know who that is?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. So he sends me stuff from there, but that's also a different type of spirituality where nothing is neither good nor bad. It just is.
No. Yeah.
Right? And so it's interesting to play with all those different ideas and try and amalgamate it with your own understandings and teachings that you've come along.
Well, yeah, then I bet you've always also been looking into the Tesla stuff, right?
Oh yeah, I bought everything that you can have on Tesla.
I know so many Tesla fans.
Yeah.
And also like the quantum physics, because that is for me like very interesting, because they all combine together. And
Right.
but it's
Well,
it's
then
nice.
you get into CERN and the Mandela effect.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the
Yeah.
Mandela effect was another one, right?
Yeah.
It's only that in the beginning, from the Mandela effect, everybody had all these American things that they remembered, and I didn't know anything about that because we didn't have that here. But only the movie stuff. But the more we
Well,
learn,
for me, it was Berenstain Bears.
well, yeah, and we don't know that here
Yeah.
because we don't even know who they are.
Right.
I don't even know what it is.
Well,
But
just a coloring, not coloring. It's just a kid's book. But keep going.
well, but like Monopoly, and also so like here we have like certain logos that are completely
Yeah.
different, which obviously is a worldwide phenomenon, but also the Dutch things that are different now. And so we'll see it, we see it everywhere. And so what do you think about the 5D stuff?
I really enjoy the 5D stuff. I don't understand it nearly as well as a lot of people. Like my twin flame, she she's older than me. She's been married twice, divorced twice, 2 kids, and like she understands things that I probably never will get to. But it just like to hear her so casually say, "Yeah, at 7 years old, I opened up a portal." And where she lives, it just happened to be Salem, Massachusetts. I don't know if heard of Salem, but the Salem,
Yeah.
right? That's where she grew up in Boston. So when to hear her say casually opening up portals at 7 years old, like
Wow.
I have no reason to doubt her, but like I know how that would be viewed if that was being broadcast on a larger platform, right? Right? She'd be, but for me, it's like I'd rather be on the side of caution, believe that she can, than be the one like, no, you can't, and then she does, and then she throws you in it.
but then she's your twin flame, like you said, and I mean, you said, well, I've never been will be to the point that where she is, so that means also you will never be together, because you only get together right when you're at the same like
Right,
frequency.
right, but maybe we already have, right? If you think of quantum string theory, right?
Good point. Yeah.
Everything is happening all at once in different places. So
Oh yeah, that's a good one. Sudabok, he has a question.
uh,
if you have read The Law of One, the raw material.
Yeah, I have. Well, it's not, is it called Oneness? Is that the one you're talking about? Where
No,
it's like
Law of One, raw. Yeah, it's like David Wilcock started that whole stuff, and it's about that channeled.
Yeah, and I know what he's talking about. I just was curious to see if it was there a book called One by Ra. It has a blue cover. I don't know. I can't see this chat, but
I think
is it,
yes, I think that's the one. Yeah, it's
what,
well, it's all called the law of one, is it? But raw, yeah,
can you give me 1 second?
yeah, sure.
I'll,
Let me see. Are there other people that have questions? Maybe if you have questions, just put them in. Just put like in caps question, then I'll see it.
okay, sorry. I don't think it's the same book, but this is Rasha.
Oh no, that's another one.
But
Oneness.
okay.
Yeah. No, the law of one is like interesting material, but actually, I recently got you onto other books, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Which is the
Right.
Basic Mountains, and yeah, those are very interesting as well. But yeah, the Law of One is an absolute must read. Well, you can find it for free online,
Yeah,
actually.
yeah.
Yeah. And so, did you also get into ufology and stuff like that, and the alien?
Yeah. Like
Because
actually,
now you're gonna go completely
well,
out of
right. Angels and Demons, Anunnaki, Nephilim. Like
yeah.
you watch Trey Smith, Kim Clement. I don't know. I watched the most recent Stephen Greer. If you've heard of him.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of his. I
Yeah,
don't trust him.
I right. That's exactly what I said after I watched. I really liked Unacknowledged, the one that he did 5 years ago, I think, Unacknowledged UFOs. And then I watched the one he just did now, and I hear Jeremy Piven narrating it. I go, shit.
Yeah,
I
no.
don't know, you know who Jeremy Piven is?
Is that
He's
an
an
actor?
actor, Ari
Yeah,
from Entourage, right? Jewish guy, and
I never
but
saw it, Josh.
right. So you hear
But
that,
I
and
know
then
who he is.
and then he compares the disclosure of UFOs now to Jim Crow and racism in the 50s. And I'm like, really?
Yeah, but I knew it from the beginning. I didn't trust him, and I don't know. I'm spot on. I don't know. My body just tells me, and I listen, and that's
Yeah.
all I'm. And I never trusted him, and I
Yeah.
have no explanation why, but it's just a feeling.
When
Same with
when you have
Alex
right,
Jones. Same.
when you have that much money in production behind your content,
Oh,
your antenna should go up. Like that is some nice font.
exactly. That's another
Yeah.
red flag indeed, but I'm planning on next year in July to come for a month to America and go to ESETI.
Well,
So,
hopefully we're still here.
well, if you're not there, then we're gone for sure.
Right, exactly. Well, then we'll be in 5D.
Yeah, well, I'm already in 5D anyway.
Well, you're in 3D now.
No, I'm not.
Okay, but if you haven't seen a good movie for the people watching that, there's a movie called Valerian, City of 1,000,
Yeah, I've
whatever it
seen.
is. It's really interesting, and that has to do with the 5D and I think the 3D as well, because the consciousness of the person that dies goes into the person in the 3D, and that he helps. Yeah, have you not seen it?
I've seen it, but I can't remember that.
Okay, well,
Or
I'll
vague.
say.
Yeah, it's not very memorable because that's one of these.
Well, that's probably because you're in 5D already.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. It's really great up here.
Yeah.
And so, does anybody has a question for Dustin? Let's see. No, I don't see anything so far. Well, if people have questions, then they will ask.
Yeah.
Oh, so did you actually did you met Trump?
I can't. I might have. I've been to his golf courses. I know, like, for instance, like when we won the Stanley Cup with the Anaheim Ducks, Tamo Solani sent Donald Trump a signed stick from all of us, as just as a nice gesture. And So that hockey stick Trump received, signed by me and the rest of my teammates. And it just so happened the guy who sent it, my teammate, his last name is Solani. He's a Finnish guy. Mr. Trump sent him back a gift, which was he had a lifetime membership at every Trump golf course in the world for the rest of his life.
Holy shit. So why didn't you get that? You're a golfer.
Yeah, I should have been the one to send it to him, but it was the thought that the reason why Solani got that gift is because he was the thoughtful one, right? So then when everybody starts bashing Trump, I know you don't know him like I know him, and I don't know him very well, but for someone to just do that, out of the goodness of their heart, it doesn't seem like, there's a lot of truth to what people are saying negatively about him.
Well, yeah, and I know people that actually met him like before he became president and all that, and they I mean, never a bad word about him, so why, I mean, I never saw well, when it came to the politics, I only learned more about politics when he came in office, and that's when I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Obviously I was also within the Q movement, but that's only when I started to learn more about it. But I mean, at the time for me, it was more like, well, as long as Hillary doesn't win, I'm good, and well, I'm good. It's not my country, but at the same time,
right.
it matters because, it's about the whole world. It's another thing that many people just don't realize. It's about the whole world.
Right.
So you now live in America, like forever. Almost.
I spent half my life in the U.S. and half my life in Canada.
So do you feel more American or Canadian?
American.
Huh?
American. I said it right away. I feel more American. Canada Canada isn't what it used to be. That doesn't. Right. And I don't really care about what color flag. Like it's good. It's good in the sense in the 3D to have borders, because there are people that have nefarious intent and are negative, and you have to have checks and balances in place. But most of my friends live online and then live in different countries. The reason why I say American as opposed to Canadian is because here it's more of like, you have liberty, life, freedom. You have to earn your keep, and you can protect your life and the ones you love. In Canada, there's no freedom of speech. You have to get fish hooked in your anal cavity if you want a gun by the government, so they can tug on you, make sure that you're not getting too far away from them.
Same as here. Yeah.
And then the fines are ridiculous. You get taxed 50% of your income, then 40% on every goods and service, and then they give you $800 tickets for speeding 10 kilometers over the speed limit.
Same here.
It's just right.
We have literally the same sick laws like you guys have in Canada, but obviously I'm born here. I live here. Do I hate my country? No, not so much the country. I hate the way it's ruled, and and that counts the same for Canada. So
I don't hate the culture. I hate the people ruling it and the rules they impose.
Well, yeah, but if like say that Canada would have like a normal leader, right, and everything.
Right, if I was running it.
Well, there you go. Hey, there you go. There's a new career for you. But wouldn't you be like in that sense feel more Canadian, or because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter who rules it at the moment. You still have your traditions, you still have your heritage there, right? And so
but that feels like going backwards, right? Like I'm never going to forget my Canadian heritage and the things I learned and became part of me growing up, but I'm not trying to get back there.
Okay,
right? So you know what I mean. So I'm not trying to stay here either, because where we're going, we don't need roads.
Yeah, but say that you got like a sort of a Trump president in or prime minister in Canada, would you move back to Canada?
No, because you use Fahrenheit or you use Celsius like we do in Canada. Where I grew up, it would get to minus 60 Celsius.
Oh shit! Yes.
All right, where the natural gas that the buses ran on would liquefy, we couldn't go to school. My mom would be going to a hospital to work her shift on a snowmobile, and we'd have snow up to the roof. I'll take California, where I get the same weather every day.
Yeah, good point.
So
Yeah, good point. I mean, I wouldn't do that either. I don't
Yeah,
understand how Canadians can stay in Canada to begin with.
yeah,
I mean, we used to have that weather here when I was a child, but well, not that extreme. But I'm just glad that I passed now 2 years without any snow. Well, when as a
yeah.
child, it was like snowing all year long, and it was ice skating on, and it was normal.
Right.
But
Right.
we don't have that anymore. Loyal to the foil. Ask him if he thinks Canada is lost already, and if he saw the video of the people in that home getting arrested.
Yes, I
Yeah,
did. I did see that video, and I think it was Gatineau, Quebec. Um,
yeah, that was
Canada
bad.
can't pretty much, and I've heard this from people that aren't American, but they'll be in my DMs and say it's up to you, Americans, like people who are in America, because if you lose, the rest of us are done, right? Because we're the only ones. We have whatever 300, 400 million guns. Like like I've told my parents who I flew to Canada before Canada went batshit crazy
Yeah,
is I will die before they put a needle in my arm.
yeah,
Right. I have no problem. And there's a lot of people that have slid in my DMs that are veterans that say, thanks for doing what you're doing. Just know that we have your back. And they say verbatim, if the blood of tyrants needs to be spilled in the streets again, we will be the ones to carry it out.
yes.
So, and a lot of people don't, and that sends shivers up my spine because it's true. I know that to be a fact. And a lot of my friends who are going around selfies on the beach still, and like, you guys have no idea what's going on.
Exactly.
So
Yeah, because
Canada will, they're lost now, but I think bigger picture, everything, if the good guys win, everything will be restored
yeah.
in a sense, not back to normal. It'll be a new normal, but a better normal for
Yeah,
everyone.
exactly. No, because same for us here, obviously, maybe we're further away from the US, but at the end of the day, I mean, losing is not an option. It's as
Right.
simple as that,
Right.
because we're all lost without that.
Like,
So
right.
I'm
It's
so
just gonna,
excited.
right. It's just gonna take one instance. If that would have been me in Gatineau, Quebec,
Yeah,
me and my buddies would have been on the roof, and you would have heard a click clack, and then let him go. Make a decision.
right.
Either no one's dying or all of us are dying. But you're not going to grab my dad and take him out of the house. You decide, right?
You can have weapons in Canada as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh
But I
wow.
don't. I don't own any weapons. I don't have any weapons.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, we obviously
That
don't have.
was that. That was sarcasm.
Oh wait, you've got a whole
Yeah,
room, right?
yeah, yeah. There's a saying in the States that if you know how many guns you have, you don't have enough.
Right. That apparently that's the thing. I mean, I really well, if I come over to the US, I do want to shoot. I mean,
Yeah.
seriously. I'm yeah, that would be fun.
See,
But
people seem to forget that in history we only got to where we can be so scared of guns that we shouldn't be allowed to touch them by using them,
yeah,
right? Like the wars that we're in, like people would grab guns like they would grab a fork and knife 100 years ago.
yeah, yeah.
So
Well, I used to be very that anti-gun, but that was before I understood what it stood for, and also because here our police didn't even have guns, and then all of a sudden our police started getting these tasers, and then
right,
from tasers they went to guns, and that's when I was like, wait a minute. So if they can have guns, then why can't we?
right,
Because it wasn't like that before, and now we have obviously the police that are beating the shit out of us. So
right,
and now we're yeah, kind of fucked.
right.
So
Yeah, it's nature versus nurture. It's like if you have a dog, and I've had my share of dogs in my life, and there with every dog, and it differs, but there's a point where if you hit it too hard, that'll be the last time you hit it that hard.
yes,
And then like, all right, you're right. I hit that was a little hard. I'm sorry, but just don't pee again.
right.
And that's what's happening in society is we're the dog, and eventually we're going to have to bite back. And right now we're not.
Well, I think we are, but it's more like
Nipping,
coordinated
more
because
not nipping.
well, I mean, I can't wait, by the way, for Wednesday, because
Right.
people are coming even from Europe, trying. Although I know that Europeans, we cannot even enter the US. So probably by boat is possible, but not by airplane.
Right.
Actually, we cannot even cross our own borders here. So go figure. But we are not allowed in the US. So if you go fly there, then they will send you back, and vice versa. However, I know that there are people actually from Europe going there by boat and
Really
to be there. Yes. And
awesome.
yeah, and there's going to be people all over the world actually, being solidar with what's going to happen on the 6th. It's going to be, I mean, it's like I feel this energy, you know. I don't know. Well, obviously, you guys are in the US, so you even feel it more. That it's coming because this is the moment where people standing up, right?
Right.
So, yeah. Oh,
Hmm.
thank you, Christina, for your super chat. That's so sweet. But yeah, so you're not going to DC?
No, no. I'll wait and see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be busy.
Yeah, I'm not good with crowds. I'd probably end up on the local news.
Yeah, I
Like
get
just
that.
I haven't been able to hit anybody legally for a few years now because I'm retired from hockey. So
Well,
so
you
you
probably wouldn't hit any Patriots if you
no
find
no
something to
right, but I'm guessing there'll be some Antifa there.
right. Well, do you think they even actually I was watching that today. Do you think they even stand a chance? I mean, how
No,
many I mean, there's no way they can even get a foot in with all the people that are going.
right, and now in comparison to before a year ago, 2 years ago, there's a lot of anger that has accrued or aggregated with Patriots. Like
Yes,
now would not be the time
exactly.
to try them.
The only thing I'm scared of, because if there is one moment that they can like seriously
Yep,
create damage, this is it. I'm
yep.
wondering, is there any? I
Well,
mean,
that's why we get to find out on the 6th. How big is this? Is there really a God? Because if the nuclear war starts on the 6th, right? I guess
right.
there's a lot of questions that will be answered.
Well, I know that many in the chat actually, some people there that I know, like, hey, Brooklyn Way, good to see you. She is going, and anybody that's going, I wish you all like a safe stay there. Take care of yourselves, but fight, 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 and we're solid there here on the other side across the pond. All patriots here actually in Europe are watching and probably organizing themselves things as well. So we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be the biggest rally in the world. That's what it's going to be, you know. So yeah, let's. Is there anything that you want to say to patriots actually from your?
I think I've said it all, but I'd say have fun in DC, and if I'd liken the movement to hockey and winning the Stanley Cup, it feels like we're in the third period and we're up by a couple goals with a couple minutes left in the game. So
Yeah,
when they say hold the line, is play strong defense and just secure the victory, because I think we have it.
yeah, because this win is like 10 Stanley Cups together,
Way
right?
more than that. It's not even the same. It's 5D versus 3D.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Well, thank you for having me.
Well,
I
thank you
see.
all for being here. I hope you all enjoyed it. And I'm going to close off the chat. So, for all of you, where we go one, we go all. Bye, all.